Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to make modification in our cognitive search index. So I'm going back to my property search surveys. Now the first step is under the indexes in our index, we need to add a new field. So I'm going to just add a new field called full address and make it everything. This will be a string type. Let's save it. Let's save it in our index. And then I'm going to go to my skill sets, and in my existing skill set we need to add a new skill. So till now we had just one skill. We are going to add another one here. So to add a web API skill, again I'm going to go to skills definition templates drop down, and this time I'm going to choose custom web API skill Azure functions. If you have your own function hosted somewhere else, you can choose custom web API skill and make your URL and other headers entry in the skill set. We are going to choose Azure functions because our function is in Azure service app. So this will give you an option to choose different apps and then the function. So we had custom skill API. Now here you can just copy it, the whole template created for you, and paste it under skill set. Now this template tells you like the type of the skill we are using. We are using web API skill, and then you have to define the endpoint for your skill. Now here the template has also added the code or the function API key for you in the URL. If you want to add any headers, you can add them here. We don't need to add any headers. I'm just going to remove it. I'm going to create the batch size as 100 and keep parallelism as 1. So as the name suggests, you can send these many operations, degree of parallelism, and each operation or each batch will have batch size items. So I'm just going to run 100 items at a time. That's why I just want to run one function at a time and then process 100 items. Now I'm going to just name it as function number 2, similar to context we defined earlier as document fields. I'm going to just again define the same context. I want my output to be mapped under document fields. If you want, you can have it as just document or any other path you want. Now we are going to send fields attribute as input. I'm just going to name it as fields as well, and the source will be root fields. So this is what tells your skill which field to send. So we are sending the fields attribute as input with the name fields. So this name will show up in our data attribute in our input post body, and then whatever output comes back, I want to map it under document slash fields slash full address, and the target name is also full address. That's it. Our scale is ready, and this should take in the input as fields attribute and give us back the full address. I'm going to save it. Now this output needs to be mapped back to our index, and that is done by our indexer. So I'll go back to my indexer, to property, in our indexer definition, And in our indexer definitions under output field mapping, similar to what we did earlier, we are going to map our source field, this time document full address, with the target field name that we give in our skill set as target field full address. Let's save it. This done. I've already reset my indexer and just run it once again. Seems to be running okay. If there were any errors, they would have shown up here by now. So this is going to take some extra time. So indexing is complete and took about 44 seconds because we had a new API skill added. So our indexing is complete, but there seem to be some warnings here. Let's check what the warnings are. Okay, so we have got some issue with our mapping. It says could not map output field full address to search index. And it also wants us to check output field mappings property of our indexer. And the full address value is missing. Let's see what mistake we have made. Let's go back to our indexer, to our indexer definition. Okay, so it has to have document slash fields as well because we were mapping our full address to our fields attribute. Let's save it again. Let's go back to property, our indexer. I will have to reset it once again. And then run it. So the indexing has started again. Let's see if it completes successfully this time. So our indexing has completed, and again we got some 388 warnings. Let's see. And this time it says the site ID value is missing, which is okay. Let's see if our full address has shown up or not. Let's go to indexes, property, and search. And this time we can see that our full address field has been mapped properly with the output data from our custom web API skill. Now if you want, you can also go to your function app, to your functions, and see some logs there. So here you can see that your function execution took only 14 milliseconds to send back the output for each row. Now based on this data, you can also estimate the batch size value and the degree of parallelism for your skill set. If your function app is able to handle more executions, you can increase those values. In your skill set, right? So you can always toggle these values to get maximum throughput for your application. That's all for this lecture, and we have our custom web API skill ready. I will attach all these configuration and resources in the resources section so you can download from there. Thank you, and I will see you in the next lecture.